to welcome everybody to this Law Enforcement Memorial Garden Luncheon. We are going to be honoring the lost lives in the line of duty here in the KC Metro. I am honored to be here. I feel as though this is something that is absolutely vital for the families who have lost loved ones, lost friends in the line of duty. And I want you to know that it's never, ever lost on me what you do to protect and serve. I live in Kansas City, Missouri, and when I see a patrol car, it makes me feel safe. Not when they have their lights on behind me. I mean, I feel safe, but I know I'm in trouble. So I want you to know I come here and I want us to have a place where people can go that is peaceful and it's beautiful and they can remember. And maybe they don't ever go there. Maybe it's not a place that they need to go or they think about going, but it's there. And I think it is so important to have that, to make sure that all the families out there know we are here for you, we are thinking about you, and that's why we are here today. We know law enforcement officers sacrifice every day. You put your uniform on, you go to work, and you put your lives on the line. We know that. Do we think about that every day as just civilians? Well, no, we don't, but we should. We are building a memorial garden behind the KC Police Regional Police Academy, and it's to tie into the Trail of Heroes, where we will remember the more than 178 lives lost in Clay, Platte, Jackson, and Cass counties. These are officers from the FBI, from the county departments, from the city departments. These are from the conservation, from the airport, even the railroad officers who have sacrificed their lives. It encompasses everyone who is out there to keep us safe. So let's go forth today. Know we are doing something. We are empowering our community to do something for the people who are out there mourning and thinking about the people that they have lost. I want to invite Pastor and State Representative Doug Ritchie, representing District 38, to the podium for the big invocation. State Representative Ritchie has also served as a pastor for the past 20 years. He has devoted 16 years in law enforcement chaplaincy. Please come forward.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together and reminisce and share stories, share moments of laughter. But Father, we're also mindful during these moments that there is a very important reason that we're here to go beyond just the mere sharing of stories and moments of laughter. There's a reason we're here, and that is because men and women have taken upon themselves the task of protecting us, of serving our communities, serving our state, serving our nation. And in the process of doing so, have paid the ultimate price. They would have us, Father, to gather and laugh together and share stories and look toward the future and love our families and look forward to what we're going to be doing this weekend. They would have us do that because that's what they sacrificed their lives to protect. And yet we pause today to thank them, to thank their families, and to thank their partners for the price that they were willing to pay. Oh, Father, when you look down upon this great state, you see citizens and communities that make up this state, and you serve for our good day to day in ways that oftentimes go without recognition. And as I pray that you would continue to bless as you have and will continue to do for the sake of our citizens, I pray as well that you would focus your blessing on a particular group of individuals. Individuals that the citizens of this state and the communities that make up this state have asked, as fellow citizens, to bear a responsibility to face the underbelly of society day in and day out, so that we can lay our heads upon our pillows at night without a thought of our safety or security. While we know that law enforcement is a corrosive career, and over time, our officers, our troopers, our deputies, our agents are in need of our thoughts and prayers, because that corrosion can have devastating effects upon not only themselves, but their families. And we pray that as we have opportunity to encourage them day by day, that this effort with the Memorial Garden will communicate our intent, our determination to always remember those who not only serve us day by day, but those who have served us and are no longer serving us because they laid their lives down to keep us safe. May their families know that we love and appreciate them and will never forget them. May the children of fallen officers know that they are appreciated, loved, and supported. And may all those who walk upon the pathways around this particular Memorial Garden in the days to come be reminded that there is something so very sweet about this life that must be protected, that must be valued. And oftentimes, in order for this life, which is so very sweet, to be protected and valued, we must have individuals that are willing to answer the call. And we are so very grateful that they have. Now we ask for your continued blessing upon their families and upon the memory and the heritage that they have established. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Please stand for the presentation of the colors.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Touchdown, Kansas City! Okay. When the home shows up, we'll say that a lot. Let me also answer a question. I didn't bring anything from Patrick's sign, not his cowboy hat that he was riding in the ocean yesterday that you saw on social media, so we'll go from there. But I do want to thank you for this opportunity. It's awesome and humbling to be here. Now, I love the color red. I get criticized for wearing too many red ties. Like, you don't wear any other color tie? I said, well, I love red. I love the Chiefs Kingdom. I love Kansas City. I love everything about it. But honestly, today is a day for a blue tie and an open and a humble heart. I don't know. Maybe it was studying the 1881 shooting of Patrolman Martin Hines at the White House Saloon on 10th Street. Maybe the two most famous men who fell in line of duty, because it's been studied so much, detectives from KCPD crew Frank Hermanson and William Grooms. They were shot in the infamous 1933 Kansas City massacre at Union Station. Lesser known is the irony of Officer Grant Schroeder, who a year later was shot and killed by another officer who was mentally unstable and deranged after witnessing the Kansas City massacre a year earlier and failing to stop it. Maybe it's the 1948 Paseo massacre. A proud patrolman, and if there are any of his relatives here, I apologize, Patrolman Charles Neves, a World War II veteran who showed great courage at many levels in his service to his country, because he was a brave African-American man who served in the United States Army in World War II and survived to come back to serve in the Kansas City Police Department. Or his partner, another man of color, Sandy Washington, who answered a call in 1948 and were brutally shot and killed. And moments later, coming to their aid, Patrolman Charles Perrine and Sergeant William Wells. All told, all four officers were killed. If one studies the women and men who have served and given the ultimate sacrifice, there are all kinds of stories. And those are just from the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. That does not include Kansas City, Kansas, or Gladstone, or Raytown, or other communities. But if you study these stories from Turner to Troost, you will see there are all kinds of stories about all kinds of bravery from all races, creeds, and colors. Today we are here because it's about respect and honor and humility and remembering, and also to be generous, so that others will never forget these stories, the bravery and the sacrifice. Laura touched on this in her beginning comments. It's so easy for me to take for granted what the police women and men do in our community, the impact that they have. I have a friend who works with inner city young men not far from here. He grew up not far from here. His father left him in the middle of the night. His stepdad wanted to kill him. And later his stepdad shot himself in front of my friend when my friend was only 12 years old. My friend was recruited to run away from home and to help with the drug ring. He saw more death. I'm listening to his story, and I said it's a miracle that he didn't suffer his own death. He said he never expected to live beyond 19 years old. When he told me his story, I said there has to be someone in this story, in this miracle, that you're still here and alive and having such an impact in our inner city communities. He told me about the Lord, but then he also told me about a Kansas City police officer and a high school football coach that turned his life around and essentially saved his life. For us, it's also an encouragement today to think about, to study the courage of our women and men who served, but to also pursue truth, real truth. One of my least favorite phrases is perception is reality. No, it is not. That lasts for a short time. Truth is reality. A fascinating read is the story of German theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a brave man who tried to speak out against Hitler and Nazi Germany when the other clergy members in Germany slinked back away in fear. Bonhoeffer came to the States, actually, after that, to study and to learn. And his favorite places to hang out in New York City were with his new friends in the area of Harlem. There, he became close friends. He worshiped there. He studied there. They loved him, and he loved them. And they told him, do not go back to Germany. He said, I got to go back. If you study Bonhoeffer's life, he suffered a terrible and ignominious death, only a week before he could be rescued. But among his many words of wisdom that we can still live by today, 75 years later, include the warning to Nazi Germany in the early 1930s. The extreme danger, he said, is when evil is portrayed as good, and good is portrayed as evil. Today, we want to focus on truth and what is truly good. Now, you can follow me on Twitter. I have 52,100 followers on Twitter. I get to 52.2 by 2 o'clock if you jump on. I'm only 450,000 behind Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick is 700,000 behind a guy that I follow who has 1.2 million followers, and he died November 22nd, 1963. And it was not John F. Kennedy. It was a man by the name of C.S. Lewis. A good follow, a good read, a man of wisdom. He was asked repeatedly, when is the world going to end? What is the date? And is there a God? And if there's a God, when's he coming over the hill? And his response was, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you stood the post when that time arrives. I love the Chiefs Kingdom. I love the Kansas City area. The next 7 to 10 years could be very exciting. We're hoping to host more AFC championship games. We hosted our first ever last year. And unless you host a Super Bowl, there's no bigger game to host in the community. I'm thinking we're going to have more World Series games. A lot of you were there on the lawns at Liberty Memorial and Union Station to celebrate a World Championship. The NFL Draft is coming here. It's going to be huge, as I say on the Monday night show. We're hoping to host World Cup matches here. These are world events in our city. We love to work in Kansas City. We love to play. But whether we work, or we play, or we sleep, there has to be someone who stands the post. Today, we honor and thank the women and men who stand the post, and those in all of our Chiefs Kingdom communities who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. We're really close. I'm told we're really close. We were this close to getting to the Super Bowl last year, but we're also this close to getting this memorial at the point financially where we can roll forward this close. And today, just like Andy Reid will tell our guys when we meet next week in St. Joe, we're going to do everything we can to get that much farther. Today, we can get that much farther. And you can do it in a variety of ways. There is a table right back there to my left and the rear that you can make a financial commitment today. if you would. You're also going to see very shortly the website, where you can go to the website and do it online. At the very least, I'm going to commit to you today, because my wife is here and I'm super proud of her. She is a graduate of the FBI Citizens Academy. Their alumni group, I'm curious, anybody in here an alum as well? Yeah, it's pretty cool, it's really awesome. Their group, their alumni group, raises money, basically endowing funds to give to the families of fallen officers in their region. It's pretty cool. But she will join me, because her heart is the same as most of you in the room, to make sure that we will take our children and our grandchildren to this memorial and explain to them why it's here and why it's so important to have it, so that we can tell the stories of bravery and sacrifice in those who stand the post. Please watch this special video from families, the families who have made the ultimate sacrifice.
My mom told me that he was in an accident, and I thought, I was 12, whatever. We'll go see him, he'll be okay. I remember just falling to my knees and just sobbing. I remember the car ride home thinking, my life's changed forever. He never got to meet her, and she never got to meet him. So her life was altered also.
I remember waking up in the middle of the night and hearing people downstairs. As a kid, you don't quite understand it. For me, hearing that my dad wasn't going to come back, it didn't really register. The little things that you miss when you don't have a father, they're like when days when your father's supposed to go to school, or you're not going on the fishing trips anymore, or you're not going on the camping trips anymore, and you start to realize that that stuff's not in your life anymore.
I cannot tell you how horrible Michael's death was. I also told Michael that he would be the first at something on the Highway Patrol. I just didn't realize he would be the first African American to lose his life. He was a good dad. Very good dad, very good husband, very good provider, very good friend. Michael and I were best friends.
As a wife of a police officer, we all talk the same talk. We feel the same. We understand what it feels like every day to have your spouse go to work and knowing that potentially they won't come home. But what I don't understand is what it's like for them not to come home, because mine always did. And to hear their stories and to hear what they've had to do since then, it just breaks my heart. And I just want to give them a way and a place to find some peace and to have there to go and respect and honor that sacrifice.
It defined our lives, It changed everything. And I just want people to know that he was a good person. Finally
there's a place where people can have the opportunity to read about my loved one's life, and not just how they were born and how they died in the line of duty, but just who they are.
Everybody thinks that it's harder in the beginning. And I tell you that is not true. It is harder every year that goes on without anybody that you love.
They need to know their story, their legacies, their sacrifices.
I absolutely want to honor Michael's life and always want him to be remembered.
I actually went out to his grave the other day, and there was nothing. There was nothing there except for what I left maybe 3 months ago. It was just a horrible feeling. How can I make sure that people don't forget, because I don't want him to be forgotten.
Well, there we have it. That's exactly why we're here today. And I see these stories. I have covered these stories. I have been on set when I've heard in my ear that someone has died in line of duty, and I can tell you our hearts go to our toes. But it's nothing compared to what the families go through and go through every single day. We have a slight hiccup in the program. I hate to say this. The governor's plane had a malfunction. He's fine. They just had to redirect to Columbia. I was also on set that day too, many, many years ago. So the governor will not be able to join us today. But that's okay, because I would like to bring Representative Doug and Richie back to the stage. We're going to continue forward. Doug?
I will not presume to be able to fill the shoes of our governor by any means, but he was here, he was planning to be here for the ceremonial signing of a particular bill that passed the finish line, crossed the finish line this past session, and since I was the one that had the opportunity to put some steam in the engine on this bill, I thought that I would be the one that would be good to go ahead and reference it. A few years ago, as Mitch was referencing a grand celebration here in Kansas City following a World Series victory, I remember standing on the streets in downtown Kansas City with my family, with millions of others from the region and beyond, quite frankly, who were there to celebrate a win and to focus their attention upon the players and staff of the Kansas City Royals franchise. And as we were all focused upon the parade and making our way down to Union Station, I could not help but to be touched by the fact that as our gaze was focused upon World Series champions, there were a group of individuals who had their backs to the World Series champions. Those individuals were the men and women who were wearing uniforms that day. They had their gaze upon us. Why? To keep us safe, so that we could celebrate, have a great time, and do so in a way to where we would be able to make it back home to our families and friends and our jobs and careers. So while we were celebrating with our gaze fixed upon champions, their gaze was on us for our good. And I tell you, that is meaningful. That's one of those situations where, quite frankly, all too often, their service goes completely unnoticed. And then you do have those who have their backs turned upon a particular scene like that, so that we can have the opportunity to watch what is taking place and unfolding before us, and they don't make it home to their families and friends. It's for this reason and many others that as I entered into my first term as a state legislator this past January, I had already formed a very close relationship with the Halls. Heather and Evan are tremendous people, and I was so amazed by the breadth of the team that had assembled around this idea. And Heather has done a tremendous job in leading and collaborating with other leaders to make even this day possible. And as we were talking about what was to come in the upcoming session 2019, we were talking about the fact that there were still dollars yet needed to be able to complete this very important memorial. And we were trying to think of ways to be able to secure those dollars. And as many of you know in this room, nothing is all that easy. We like to make things overly complicated when it comes to government. But I began to think, what would be most likely to survive? And as I was having a conversation with my legislative aide, Amy Volker, we were talking, and she says, well, why don't you just maybe do like a, I don't know, maybe like a, sort of like a checkoff program. I'm like, maybe that's a phenomenal idea. That's a phenomenal idea. So we began to dig in and look at what we could do with that. And that conversation in my office back in January led to even now this moment where we're able to talk about something that not only was an idea, but now is a reality. And that is this. For years to come, we will have an opportunity for individuals like ourselves and many beyond ourselves who have a heart to support and encourage our law enforcement community, and beyond that, to support and encourage the families of those who have lost their loved ones, keeping us safe. We will have the opportunity to take a portion or the entire amount of our tax returns and to donate that in an ongoing fashion to the completion and the ongoing maintenance of this memorial garden. Programs like this that are well marketed are known to bring in anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 a year, depending on the degree of support. And this is one thing I know. Looking around this room and remembering and reflecting upon similar events like this that have happened over the last few years, leading to today, this is an effort that has broad support. One thing that I know we all get frustrated with at times is the nature of our day, in our society. It seems like we have a hard time coming around and having any kind of common consensus or agreement on issues. But this is what I know. When we look at this particular project, this has had broad bipartisan participation and support. This has had support from local municipalities. It's got support from our state, and even with this bill that we're going to have celebrated today, we've had people from Democrats to Republicans to Libertarians that have all come on board and support this. This has been a team effort. And this is one of those things that I really hope that we can remember and celebrate in the days ahead, that there are a lot of things in this life that we all agree on. And those things we come together passionately to support. And I'm grateful to be a part of that process. I'm grateful for the fact that in this bill, it was a team effort. I mean, there were a number of people, some of whom are in this room, I would imagine. I haven't seen all of the various individuals. I'm assuming there are a few other representatives that are here as well. We had representatives from the Kansas City area and Platte County that were supportive of this bill. We've got two senators, at least that I know of, Senator Luncheon, and I appreciate it. He was the one that was going to handle the bill on the Senate side for me, and I really appreciate Senator Luncheon, Senator Arthur, her encouragement and support of this as well. This is something that I think we can all get behind, as we have already been doing and giving out of our own resources and corporately and even publicly. But going forward, beginning this January, people will have an opportunity on their tax forms to be able to identify a portion of their tax returns to support this effort. And I'm so grateful that that is going to be taking place. It will stand as an annual reminder of something that is important for us to support, and more importantly, there are people that we need to deeply appreciate. Not only has this effort been broad in its collaboration, it is deep, because it should touch us all deeply regarding the value of the service that these men and women have provided us. So I appreciate the opportunity to at least explain a little bit about what's going to take place with this bill today with the ceremonial signing. This has been signed, and it is in place, and we look forward to doing what we can in the future to continue to provide a mechanism to support the ongoing needs of this project. So thank you, Heather. Thank you all for being here today.
I'd like to introduce Attorney General Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt is a lifelong sixth-generation Missourian whose public service has been built on a record of championing economic growth, private sector job creation, taxpayer advocacy, and fiscal responsibility. In 2018, he was appointed as Missouri's 43rd Attorney General. Eric?
Thank you very much, and I do want to pass along, I know it was an announcement made about the governor, I want to pass along
for the better part of a decade now. And he is somebody that values the service that law enforcement provides every day. In fact, before he served in the legislature, was Polk County Sheriff and lost one of his men in line of duty. And so I know that this is, he's regrettably not here today. I want to thank those organizing this for inviting me to be here today to honor the law enforcement officers who've given their life in the pursuit of justice. Of course, it's not lost on me the enormity of this memorial and this event. So today we honor those brave men and women who in the course of protecting this community gave the ultimate sacrifice. We will never be able to honor them enough or repay them, the families, the last full measure of devotion. It is up to us, though, those who remain, to honor their service with our actions and our deeds. So to the men and women here today who are in law enforcement, let me say thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you for the personal sacrifices you make each and every day defending and protecting our communities. You are on the front lines in making Clay, Platte, Jackson, and Cass counties, our state and our country, a better, safer, and more livable place. As a sixth-generation Missourian and Missouri's chief law enforcement officer, I am in awe of your sacrifice and your devotion to this community. I am deeply and personally appreciative of your dedication to the protection of our citizens from crime against their property and their lives. I'm also a deep believer in the rule of law and support law enforcement in your tireless efforts to defend that law against those who do not have respect for it, feel that they are above the law, or think that the role of our law enforcement is a hindrance to their agenda. Moreover, you are often unfairly and unjustly depicted as the enemy, not the pillars of the community that you are, working every day to bring us together to make us safer. I believe that people must be held accountable for their actions. The rule of law is meant to protect our citizens, including and especially when someone takes the life of a police officer. And following the law is an integral piece of what it means to be part of a community whose members hold deeply the dreams and the desires to make tomorrow better than today, our children's future, right on our own. A community where we respect one another, the laws, and our common purpose to live in the pursuit of happiness. I know your job can be difficult and has been complicated by the shift in attitudes by some towards our law enforcement officers. You have one of the most important and stressful jobs in America. And as you enforce our laws, protect our people and their property, and respond to emergencies, you must make split-second decisions that can have ripple effects in the community and to those you love and love you back. You have one of the most demanding jobs in America. You miss birthday parties, anniversaries, holidays, time with family, friends, and loved ones because of your devotion to the communities that you love. And you, of course, have one of the most dangerous jobs in America, which is why we're here today. You face this danger every day, and I don't need to tell you, especially today, it's a danger that's shared by your families. Not knowing that any given day is the last day that they'll see you on this earth. Not knowing that as you work diligently to fight crime, that you might become a victim of crime yourself. Not really knowing what kind of danger you'll face on the next shift. This memorial garden is a testimonial, a permanent one, to the brave and to the fallen. I sincerely hope and pray it will provide some degree of comfort and honor to their loved ones, and will serve as a lasting legacy to those who've given the ultimate sacrifice as they protect us, this community, and our state, and also serve as a reminder, a constant one, that these men and women who who wore the badge were flesh and blood, fathers, sisters, aunts, and uncles who deserve our respect and remembrance. It is a great honor to be your Attorney General. I love this state and am completely committed to doing what I can to make it better. I take very seriously the duty that I have to all 6 million Missourians, no matter their race, creed, or zip code. Fighting crime and keeping our citizens safe is one of the most important duties of my office. And I do want you to know that my office is doing everything in our power to stand behind you. That's right, a tangible commitment that we, as prosecutors, will actually put the bad guys away. And these sentiments expressed to you today are not just words. We are taking action to support you and your community. In furtherance of this objective, we're bringing you additional prosecutorial help. Along with the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Missouri, Jeff Jensen, and the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Missouri, and Harrison, we launched the Safer Streets Initiative, an unprecedented cooperative effort between federal and state prosecutors to combat the alarmingly violent crime rates in St. Louis, Kansas City, and Springfield. Recently, lawyers from the Attorney General's office were sworn in as additional assistant U.S. attorneys in the Western District, focusing on suspects that you've identified, pursued, and arrested, often at great risk to yourself. We will vigorously prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law so that they're no longer a threat to their communities or you. We're tackling the epidemic-like numbers of carjackings in our communities and pledge to continue to work with the state legislature to more uniformly prosecute and sentence carjackers, along with stiffer penalties in the state of Missouri. We're working with law enforcement and hospitals across the state on our Safe Kits initiative, which is designed to clear the backlog of untested rape kits in Missouri. Our message to rape victims: if you've had the courage to come forward to report such a heinous crime to the police, we'll apply modern technology and our resources to try to solve that crime and bring people to justice. And my friends, we're just getting started. Our communities, this community, holds great promise, and I think all of us have a role to play in shaping the future for the better. And we have some big problems to solve. There's no question about that, but we can do it together. Someone asked me recently, what keeps you up at night as Attorney General? I hadn't been asked that question before. But my answer was, because of the current climate and the dangers facing law enforcement, I'm worried, genuinely worried, because of those factors, that it'll be more difficult to recruit people who are willing to step up and stand on that front line. But I know, by visiting with the people that I know, certainly in this room, the future is bright. So I want you to know that you and the fallen and their families are shining examples of valor. You, the fallen and their families, are the inspiration for the next generation. And you, the fallen and their families, are the thin blue line between lawlessness and order. As I close out today, I want to leave you with a concrete commitment that my office will stand behind you, that my office will support you, that my office will show you the respect that you've earned, that you deserve, and continue to work for each and every day. So thank you for your service, to all the men and women of law enforcement here today. Thank you for truly being Missouri's finest. And finally, to the families we're honoring here today, and for this great memorial that will be erected in their honor of the fallen. We're grateful, genuinely grateful, for the sacrifice you've made to our community. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the great state of Missouri.
Well, thank all of you for being here today. Thank you for your support, and please know that we support you as well, and we're here to hold you up and to celebrate the fact that you keep us all safe, and you go out and you put your lives in the line of duty. I would like to remind people that, like Mitchell just said, we're this close to a Super Bowl, we're this close, raising all the funds we need for this memorial garden. So what you can do is you can go to the back table and you can make a donation. Even if you go home, you can still make a donation. I always like to tell people, we'll take your money any which way we can. And also the centerpieces, those are also for money. Just take them with you, go to the table for a minimum pledge, minimum donation of $100. That can also be yours. And then there's also a way to purchase pavers or memorabilia as you leave also. So we've got you covered. We absolutely have you covered. And just remember, hashtag build it for blue when you do your social media. I've tweeted that out and I put it on Instagram, and I know Channel 9 is here, so we will have a big push come 4, 6, and 10 o'clock tonight. So on behalf of me and everyone that has put this luncheon together, and on behalf of everyone at KMBC, we thank you. Please be safe, and we are here for you. Thank you.
See you.